This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
Yes. Fresh off the SiriusXM show, back with another edition of the Underdog RosterWatch Pick'em show here on the RosterWatch YouTube channel. Thanks to everybody for being here. I'm Alex Dunlap with Cody Carpentier, and we're going to be going through and talking about some of our favorite pick'em entries over on Underdog this week. Remember, go sign up on Underdog and use the promo code ROSTER for a 50% sign up bonus up to $250. And also remember, man, they have freebies there like crazy right now. They got the CeeDee Lamb freebie, but it feels like that there's one almost every day where it gives you a pick that is just basically guaranteed to win. It's like CeeDee Lamb over 0.5 receiving yards, stuff like that. You get it almost every day across these sports. So make sure that you're doing it. And also, Cody, make sure that you're like, if you don't have an Underdog account yet and you watch the show to just kind of hear us talk about fantasy or how players could produce, can you tell them just, look, I don't want to set unrealistic expectations because I know like I don't want to fly too close to the sun here with the way that these first 2 weeks have gone, but they've been very profitable for us. And I wonder if you could just go through the numbers as far as the picks that we've given out here, as far as the wins versus the losses.
So week one, we did it. We were 10-5 at 66% on Underdog. Week two last week is 10-4 at 71% on the season overall, 20-9. So right there at 69%. That was one also that got rebooted, which was Cooper Kupp, which does not count against the rank, but 20-9, about 70% overall. It's a pretty good number, Alex.
Yeah, man. And then, of course, you know, on Underdog, when you're putting your entries together, you got to have them all hit, right? But, I mean, if you're having 60, 70% of these things hit, if you just kind of mix and match the different guys that we talk about here, at least if you've done that in the past. And, look, it's always your choice whether to roll with us or fade us. It's like we're here to give analysis and entertainment. But if you think that we're spot on with some of these takes, then I would say mix and match some of these plays, get little kind of 2 and 3 entries and, you know, stuff like that. And you're likely to have some good results. Again, use promo code ROSTER at Underdog Fantasy for a sign-up bonus up to $250. That's a 50% sign-up bonus. All right, Cody, for the picks this week, we've finally gotten – hopefully now that we've gotten all official and we've kept them in a spreadsheet and stuff, it doesn't ruin our juju. But we have them here. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I got a couple more picks than you this week. I'll start with Stephon Diggs going to Minnesota. Stephon Diggs, 4.5 receptions this week in the Dome up in Minnesota. I think this game is going to be one of the higher scoring games of the week overall. Revenge, yeah. Back in Minnesota for the first time since departing the state. 6 targets back-to-back weeks, 4 receptions and 6 receptions the last 2 weeks. He's really taken a lot away from Tank Dell, it seems, as a pure, dependable receiver. And Diggs is kind of becoming like that. It seems like every time I look up, he's catching a first down. I like Diggs in this one, just on both merit of target and of just being that dependable guy to move the chains in this offense. So the number's 4.5 receptions this week, and I'm going to go ahead and go higher. And that's one that so of my 8 picks, that's the one that I'm least bullish on, I guess you say. I'm going in order from all my picks from least bullish to most bullish. So the 2 that I'm least bullish on, but I do love, are Diggs 4.5 receptions and then Derrick Henry 66.5 rushing yards. We haven't seen this Baltimore offensive line, and
they got to get it going at some point. At some point, they got to get this figured out, or else if we go 3 games like this, like they need to get the whole Derrick Henry thing was supposed to be an identity changing. It was supposed to be more impactful than this.
I thought, I mean, they paid Justice Hill yesterday, 2 years, $6 million. And we knew that they loved him. They called him an unsung hero, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that they're not going to go anywhere without Derrick Henry getting this thing going. And if they don't adjust this offense to how it's looking right now, it's going to be a long season. He had 84 rushing yards last week on 18 carries, 46 in week 1 against the Chiefs on 13 carries. Alex, one thing we do know about Derrick Henry is you don't get the full experience of Derrick Henry without hitting that 21, 22, 23 carry mark. That's something I grew up like. That's the first football, not the first football, but some of the first football I got to know was watching Adrian Peterson. And you never felt good about Adrian Peterson when he was at carry 15, 16, 17. It was carry 21, 22, 23 when you knew in the fourth quarter he was popping. You just knew it. And when you look at everything that Derrick Henry's done over the past couple of years, you can very rarely find a stretch of 3 games that he does not go over 100 yards. So, I mean, he had 84 last week. This number this week is sitting right there at 66.5 against the Dallas Cowboys defense that kind of last week got a little bit of exposed, I guess you'd say, against the New Orleans Saints and Alvin Kamara.
So the pick is 66.5 higher.
Correct.
Okay. What else you got?
I'll go to Gus Edwards. I guess this is a kind of a yucky one, 38.5 rushing yards.
Very yucky. I can't believe that you put this into the official picks.
I know it's extremely yucky, but 30, what did I say? I think I said 36.5, 38.5 rushing yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've seen the rushing splits between J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards the first couple weeks of the season be almost 50-50, right? Gus Edwards is a good running back in all of his matchups in his career against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, they've been all as a member of the Baltimore Ravens, but his offensive coordinator was Greg Roman. He was in Baltimore playing against Pittsburgh, the same vaunted Pittsburgh front. These are his games in which he had more than 10 carries, Alex. 21 for 130, 16 for 87, 13 for 66, 12 for 48, 10 for 48, average 4, 4.8, 5.1, 5.4, 6.2 rushing yards per carry. We think that this offensive line in Los Angeles is dominant. We think this rushing output in Los Angeles is dominant. And I think we lean on Gus Edwards returning to Pittsburgh and giving him that action and going, I think, north of 50, 55. But we're getting that number here at 38.5, higher.
All right. You're gonna keep going through yours and I'll just go through mine. Let's run through yours and run through mine, and then we'll get out of here.
All right, simple. I'll go to Deontay Foreman. I feel a little bit better about this one than I do the Gus one. Deontay Foreman came back last week. You know, we heard, I guess you should say, in the preseason about Deontay Foreman with the Cleveland Browns having a pretty good camp. This past week, he had 14 carries for 42 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He did nothing week 1 against Dallas. He came in 14 carries last week. I think I don't want to say doubles down, but I think that the rushing output continues to be similar this week. 41.5 is the number. He looks better than Jerome Ford at this stage of the game. You know, Byron's up here blowing our chat up during the games last week, and he's like, I can't believe you guys were like Jerome Ford. I'm like, listen, brother, I don't see one text message where you said Deontay Foreman was better, but I will say on the TV last week, and he looked a little bit better. Will Levis, rushing yards. 13.5 rushing yards. This number, you know, you might look at this one, you go, well, Cody picked Will Levis, so that means no. Listen. When you look at Will Levis, his last 4 games that he completed, he's had 4 carries in each of those games. He's went north of 18 yards.
Well, wait, before we go to Levis, can you tell them what the pick is for? Is it Deontay like higher on what?
Did I not say it? 41.5 rushing yards higher. I thought I said it, but 41.5 rushing yards higher on Deontay Foreman. Sorry about that. Will Levis, though, the Will Levis number is the same thing. It's going to be rushing yards here. And I know everyone knows that I love Will Levis, but in this game, it makes too much sense. Again, he's going to be rushed from this Green Bay front, we believe. And when you look at the games that Will Levis has played and finished the last, over his career, these are the last 4 games he started and finished. This last week, 4 for 38 on the ground, 4 for 36 in week 1. Last year, 4 for 25 in week 15, 4 for 15 in week 13. He's running the ball 4 times per game his last 4 games. He's rushed for 15, 25, 36, and 38. That's an upward trend. That's not a downward trend. And the attempts have been there. So I'm going to lean into this. The numbers are 13.
That's not a downward trend. Thank you for the thank you for
reiterating
for the
13.5 rushing yards. And then we'll go to Arizona. Big matchup here for the David Montgomery and the Detroit Lions against the Arizona Cardinals. David Montgomery, I would say, really hasn't gotten it going yet this year, going against the Arizona Cardinals. I think this one's a big one. Again, last week he had 17 carries for 91 yards. I think we're due for a game where Montgomery hits that 20, 21, 22 that we were just talking about a minute ago with Derrick Henry. 17 for 91 last week against in week 1 against the Rams. And this week he goes to Arizona. That number's 53.5 rushing yards. I think this is just simply too low. This game needs to be start and finish with David Montgomery and this line of scrimmage pushing the ball. That's in the running game. So higher than 53.5. And I'll just finish it out. I'll tag team these ones to make it quick. These are my most bullish of the week. Receptions. Travis Kelce, 4.5 receptions. You can look. I got the numbers written down right here. Over the course of this guy's career, this is his targets for the first 2 games to start his entire career. 11, 11, 17, 14, 17, 17, 17, 16, 16, 15, 20, 17, and this year, 7 targets in the first 2 games. A massive drop-off through the first 2 games. That can be easily correlated to the fact that they knew they were going to run the football for the majority of the season, and they were going to knock on Travis Kelce's Christmas door around that week 16, week 17 area, and they're going to wake him up and they're going to go, hey, Travis, it's time to play football. We got to go ring. We got a ring to go get. But there's a problem, Alex. There's no more Isaiah Pacheco. There's a Carson Steele. It's time to wake up that old Kansas City offense, that old Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce offense. They got Xavier Worthy. They got Rashee Rice. It's time to wake up Grandpa Kelce, and he's going to get just absolutely powdered with targets this week. I see 4.5 receptions as a complete joke, and then finished out Chris Godwin, 5.5. We talked about this one on the Sirius XM show, 5.5 receptions for a guy that's going to be playing on the inside of Mike Evans, who's going to get Pat Surtain this week in the Denver Broncos. 5.5 receptions, Chris Godwin, hammer, higher.
All right, so there's the ones from Cody. We'll go over with the recap of all these. If you're not writing them down or whatever you want to do to either play them or to fade them. Again, remember, use promo code ROSTER at Underdog Fantasy for up to a 50% sign up bonus, up to $250. It really, really helps us out as partners with Underdog to have people sign up using that promo code. And so if you're interested in using this information, whether you like it from us or hate it from us, it's just it really does help us out for you guys to go do that. All right, here's what I got. I got 6, Cody. I got a 6-pack for you. The first one I'll go with is Sam Darnold, and I'm going to take the higher on 235.5 passing yards. And this is a pretty simple one for me. For one, I've been impressed with Darnold. Clearly, I think that you have to if you're watching this and you watch the NFL and you're an observer of it. This is a super simple one for me. This is kind of like a ripoff from one of my friends. This is just I did my Blitz show that if you're a pro member at RosterWatch, you watched with Derek Carty. Derek Carty is super high on Sam Darnold. And whenever we don't have Sam Darnold projected quite like this, we do have Sam Darnold projected to go over 235.5 by something like 20 yards. I think it was 18 yards. So on our end, that's how we do it. But I've noticed over the years since I've been doing the Blitz show, Derek Carty has this projection system called the Blitz projection system. And it's a sharp projection system. It's very, very good. And whenever he has one that's a giant outlier, I've learned to pay attention to it. I've learned to pay attention to it. It's been very profitable in the past. And so I give all credit to Carty. I give all credit to the Blitz for this one. I don't think he'll mind me giving out this projection because here I am pitching the Blitz. Like you should go look into it. Like you should go buy it. It's very good. It's good. It's going to help you. But dude, he has Darnold going for 305.
Jeez.
And whenever I see that, I'm just like, well, like, all right, I don't care. Like, I mean, if the Blitz says that, it's like even if the Blitz is dusted and it just totally fails, he's probably still going to go get higher. So that's the first one for me is Darnold, and that's not my own analysis. That comes straight from Mr. Derek Carty, but he's my boy, and I trust him on this. Especially when it comes to kind of bad, cheap DFS quarterbacks, man. It's like the Blitz is the whisperer of these kinds of projections. The next one, Anthony Richardson, higher than half an interception. The fact is he's going to throw a pick versus Chicago. He looks shaky. He's had 4 interceptions so far on the season, 3 coming last week. The Bears have 2 interceptions through 2 games. Jalen Johnson's a nightmare matchup. This is overall the 5th worst matchup for opposing quarterbacks. It's just Anthony Richardson's gonna throw a pick, and it doesn't mean that he's not gonna have a good game. But especially with Michael Pittman now looking like he's DNP on Friday, we're still kind of waiting for word on him. It's going to be a little bit. It's like he's like Josh Downs is back, but there could be rust with the connection there. We've already seen the connection with Adonai Mitchell. I wish it was better. It doesn't seem like it's that good yet. So Anthony Richardson higher than 0.5 interceptions on Underdog Fantasy. The next one up, Baker Mayfield higher than 2.5 rushing attempts this week versus Denver. He's had more rushing attempts than that in each game of the season so far, right? I think we're going to see Patrick Surtain giving Mike Evans some trouble and getting Baker off that read. If I know anything from watching Baker Mayfield back to when he was in high school, right here in these hills that you see behind me, if he gets off, dude, if Baker gets off his read, he'll drop his eyes and run. Like he will do that. It's not he's not a running quarterback. But you can picture Baker rushing. I mean, he's rushed for over 3 every game so far this season. And if you look at what Denver has allowed this year, now they've faced Justin Fields, so it throws it off, right? I admit it throws it off. They faced Justin Fields and what, Geno? Is that who they faced? I think that's right. Pittsburgh and yeah, Denver.
Yep.
Denver's played
Bo
Pittsburgh and they played Seahawks. Yeah. And so, but they're averaging. So Geno had 4 rushes against them. Fields had 8. So what? That's 14. No, 12. So they're averaging 6 a game against them. I think that Baker Mayfield right here, he's gonna have 3 quarterback rushes. So higher Baker Mayfield 2.5 rushing attempts. I have 2 more here. Rashid Shaheed. Dude, the Philadelphia secondary is in trouble. It's I think that Shaheed is going to get behind them and make some big plays. This dude is averaging 24 yards a reception this season, and on Underdog, they have a higher or lower of his longest reception of the game to be 21.5 yards.
I will say the number did adjust. I'm plugging all mine in right now. I'm plugging yours in. I'm plugging mine in. I'm just making concoctions of selections over here in Underdog. And I will say the Rashid one went up to 23.5. But you just said that he's averaging 24 right now.
But we get to keep the one that I put out, right?
Correct.
So 21.5, because that was from right before the show. That was 2 hours ago.
Yep.
So for the record, we'll keep it at 21. I still go over 23.5.
It's a big play waiting to happen every single week.
Dude, he's had one for 74. He's had one for 56. It's like, I mean, in each one of these games, he's going to get, like, his longest reception is going to be more than that. Rashid Shaheed more than 23.5 for his longest catch. And then probably my favorite one is Devon Achane. Look, Skylar Thompson's going to have to check it down. We saw it last. We've seen it. He'll check it down to Achane. Raheem Mostert is not here for this one. I think Achane, unfortunately for people that own Tyreek Hill in season-long fantasy football, is going to be the sort of the feature of this offense. I think the offense is going to run around him this week. He's a really good play in fantasy, a really good play in DFS. He's going higher than 3.5 receptions. He just is, man. He's had 7 in each game so far. So higher, Devon. Is this a week of the first week where we've gone all hires?
Yep.
I'm not sure I like that.
Right. Hey, man. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the way I look at the props. I love these numbers, and I never want to be the one that's sitting there on Sunday cheering for less points. I never want to be the one cheering for the guy to fail in a fashion that's going to make him, you can't catch that 6th football. I want to see you catch that 7th, 8th, 9th football. So I'm gonna try and find the edges on that way instead of finding the edges of under. But we will, if we find edges that are pretty clear, like you brought up. There's a couple of them that are like the Sam Darnold one. It's like a 70-yard give on the over. If it were on the higher, if it was ever 70 yards in the opposite direction, we would be 100% beyond that. But I think my internal
no, it's a natural instinct of people who want to go higher. It's just like, I think it's there is a little bit of an edge to taking the lowers because you do get the injury stuff baked in right to that. And so, but the
nice thing about Underdog, if there is an injury, you saw it with Cooper Kupp one last week.
Yeah, they'll give you they'll usually give you a reboot if it's something like Cooper Kupp and it happens in the first half. So Cody, can you read off the list for people so they can just have it?
All right. So Rashid Shaheed higher than 21.5 yards, longest reception. That number is now 23.5 on Underdog. Anthony Richardson higher than a half of an interception. Baker Mayfield higher than 2.5 rushing attempts. Devon Achane higher than 3.5 receptions. Jordan Whittington higher than 31.5.
Oh, I forgot about Jay Witt. I forgot about Jay Witt. Higher than 31.5 receiving yards. He's going to be filling in for Cooper Kupp this week. They're completely decimated. Jay Witt's a G. He's an awesome guy, and he had like 22 yards last week playing only one half of football. So we haven't projected as closer to like 45, 46. I think it's a smash to take the more. So Jordan Whittington, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good. Sam Darnold, higher than 235.5 passing yards. That's Alex's favorite of the week. Stephon Diggs, higher than 4.5 receptions. Derrick Henry.
No, hold on. Can I just say one thing? That's my favorite is Achane.
Okay.
The one with Darnold, I'm just giving a nod to Cardi and saying whenever the blitz has something that crazy, I'm gonna bet it. So
okay, fair play. Derrick Henry higher than 66.5 rushing yards. Gus Edwards higher than 38.5 rushing yards. Deonta Foreman higher than 41.5 rushing yards. Will Levis higher than 13.5 rushing yards. Travis Kelce higher than 4.5 receptions. David Montgomery gets right 53.5 rushing yards against the Cardinals. And my favorite of the week, Chris Godwin, higher than 5.5 receptions playing on the inside of Mike Evans against the Denver Broncos.
Go make some money. Use promo code ROSTER at Underdog Fantasy for a 50% sign-up bonus up to $250. We'll see you back next week, hopefully with a whole lot more cash.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is